Hello, everyone. Welcome to the TheSavageGoose Show. My name is Goose, and I'm feeling particularly savage today. Got a new hairdo. I'm wearing contacts today. Went to the eye doctor today, so got some contacts. And I'm going to hang out and talk to you guys. Today, we're going to talk about accessories for Savage Worlds. What are those little things that you have at the table that you feel like you either need or make it easier for you to run your game? And as as we get to it, get through the newsletter, let me know down in the comments. Let me know what kind of things you use at your games that you make things either easier to run or easier to play, or just makes things that, or even more interesting. Maybe not easier, but maybe just more fun. Let me know down in the comments. We'll get to it. But first, let's talk about the newsletter. Moving over to newsletter. First thing is there is an announcement of free shipping on all Pinnacle stuff, the Pinnacle store, for orders over $99. This is actually kind of funny because I was just looking at buying a set of 5 of the players books that I could give out to people as like people trying to get interested in Savage Worlds. I have a couple of people in mind who have said that they want to play the game, they really want to know the system is. Okay, well, the players book might be exactly what you need. It's a smaller book, it's a little bit cheaper, gives you what you need to know to play the game. Doesn't have everything that the core rules does, but you don't need everything. So that. However, it came to like just under $100, so I guess I'll have to get something else then. So, just get that free shipping. But so take a look at that. That's free shipping from Pinnacle on all orders over $100. So yeah, go and do that. Mad World for Deadlands Lost Colony PDFs released to backers. I got my email today. Let me know that the PDFs were there, and I got them. I was like, oh, hi. Yep, there they are. There's some PDFs. Cool. So got those PDFs now. That's great. It was interesting how they came about. I need to go through the email again to make sure I understand exactly how we get them. I think they're automatically in our Pinnacle account, but I'm curious if there's a way of getting them into my TTRPG account. Not positive. We'll see about that. But those have been released, so go take a look at them and give them your look. And if there is any feedback, do they have any feedback that we were giving? I'm not sure. Get ready for review your downloads page. And there is a Google form that you can reach out to get that as well. This week on the Savage Universe stream, Lee Swank, the swag award winner for his little one combat cheat sheet that we're going to talk about actually later today, oddly enough. It's a combat cheat sheet, and it's I actually just bought it like this past week, and it's something I'm going to maybe transition to using over some other cheat sheets I've used in the past. Because it's a really cool cheat sheet, but you can go ahead and see JM talk to Lee Swank over on the Savage Universe stream this Thursday at 7 p.m. So check that out. Hey, there are signups for Gen Con and if you start down here, Savage, the Gamehole Con, the Savage Alliance are both coming up soon, or are now open already for Gen Con, coming up soon for Gamehole Con. If you're interested in either of those conventions, go check out their pages to sign up to get into them or to get your tickets or whatever. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it to any conventions this year. I'm hoping to finally get to a convention because I've only been to like a handful of conventions over the past years of my life. So, and I think the ones I've been to have all been anime conventions. I played RPGs the whole time, but technically they're anime conventions because my sister was really into anime at the time. She still is, but anyways. So take a look at those. The licensee spotlight today is the Kickstarter for the Simply Savage Bestiary. We are running into the last 40 hours for the Simply Savage Bestiary. If you don't know anything about it, go check out my last live stream where I talked all about this product, why I love it, why I think it's a great kind of like monumental shift in designing monsters for Savage Worlds. I think it makes a lot of these monsters way easier to read, to understand, to run. And I've made complaints in the past about how I find current standard Savage Worlds blogs to be really hard to read and to run. So check this design out. I think it's really cool. Check out the Kickstarter. They have gone over the $10,000, which I think is way more than they had originally planned. So definitely go check out that particular product. And just looking at our crowdfunding, again, nothing's really changed a whole lot. We are looking to prepare for shipping for the Advanced Player's Guide 2 for Savage Pathfinder soon. There's a few other things going on here. We did get I did get the files for Abominable Northwest and the Mad World stuff. So I'm not sure why Mad World's not on this list already, because we have gone through that. So yeah, I imagine they should probably be adding that to this crowdfunding status report. But I guess he did have the report, one of the first things up there. So I'll take a look at that. Let's see here. Moving on, going back to our tab. Kickstarters. There's only one Kickstarter going on right now, and that is, as far as I'm aware. If you guys know of any Kickstarters are going on, and I did not put them in here, let me know. But the only one I know of is the Simply Savage Bestiary that ends this Thursday. It's a crazy time to they're only be going, like, only having one kind of happening. I don't know if that's because of the tariffs or if it's because we're just in this like slow season for Savage Worlds products and Savage Worlds Kickstarters. Not sure, but go check it out. It's a really cool. It's really cool. It's a cool product. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to reading it. There is a new monster that was released in a more recent update. I have my own thoughts on it. We're not going to go through that today, but it does look really cool. This month's Ace licensee, swag licensee spotlight is going to Hellbine. So let me pull up my Hellbine book here. Here's my physical copy of Hellbine. You can get this through the drive-through RPG store. I will be updating some links down below later in the description, talk about all these things. But I want to talk about Hellbine real quick. I'm going to try to highlight a feature every week that I really enjoy. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is the character creation in this, especially the race creation. Because Hellbine says, this is a science fiction setting. And guess what? There's a lot of different kinds of aliens out there. So many that we can't even really number them all. Describe them however you want. Create your own race. There is no like list of races in this book. There is no like, hey, go use this race or this race. It says, hey, go look at the race creation guidelines and use those and create a race. Just go create one. And that, to some people, they probably don't like that. I love this approach though, because it means like, hey, your race creation can be part of your character creation process. You're choosing things, and also like your GM has to approve whatever you're doing to make sure you're not making some sort of stupidly broken race out of the get-go. And sometimes your GM will still miss it when you do make a stupidly broken race. Can't happen if you it only happened once to me. Anyways, so I think that's really cool that they just went through that approach. This is a shorter book, just to give you a little outline. It's only about 151 pages. It takes place in the Hellbine system, where there's a lot of different factions that you're going to go up against as adventurers. And I'm not going to get too much into that because I do want you guys to talk. I want to, keep your toes. There's going to be a few other things in this book I want to talk about, and we'll talk about them more in the next few weeks. So look forward to those few weeks to talk about some of the cool features of Hellbine. And let's just go ahead and we're going to get into our... we also have new products. So there's one new product that I did want to highlight. And that is the Dagger of Spiragos. This is the sequel to the Gauntlet of Spiragos, which is 2 adventures that happen in the Scarred Lands. Scarred Lands is a setting that originally released for 3rd edition 3.5. There was a 5th edition version as well that I have a copy of, and now is being converted into Savage Worlds. These are the 2 adventures that are already released for Savage Worlds, the Gauntlet and Dagger of Spiragos. I've actually run the Dagger or the Gauntlet of Spiragos in 5e, and I now have it for Savage Worlds, and I'm looking to maybe run it at some point. Not sure when that's going to happen. Probably won't happen until I get back from Scotland. If you want to know more about that, I'll talk more about that at some point. Maybe at the end of the show, we'll talk more about what's happening with me in the next few months. But we'll talk about that more. But really cool new product. Go check it out. I'm super excited to see the Scarred Lands come to Savage Worlds. So I'm looking forward to the Kickstarter, and we'll be back in that immediately. So look forward to that. All right. I'll find my right thing. Here we go. All right. So today I want to talk about accessories, and I'm going to be talking about some things that I use at my table and talk about why I like using them at my table. But I also want to hear from you guys what things you guys use at your table for Savage Worlds that you find to be really nice, that you really enjoy at your table, that makes things either easier or more fun to play. So I'm going to be talking specifically about things that I actually use. I'm going to try to focus on things I actually use, or at least use sometimes. And we're just going to start out with something basic. Something that you're going to expect. You're going to say, oh, yeah, of course you have that. And the first thing I want to pull out here is the good old Chessex battle map. There was a video recently. The reason I brought this up actually specifically is this is the battle map that's been tried and true. This particular battle map I've had for 11 years now. So since 2014, I've had this battle map, and it's got stains. You might be able to see that. You can see some of the remnants of past dungeons and stuff. Who knows how many layers of dungeons are in here? I learned recently that apparently if you shower with your Chessex map, it'll help get all that out. Worth a shot. So, but this is like what a lot of people get this as their first battle map, and it's a good one. It's a little more pricey based on compared to some other maps, but it's a really good one. Again, it's lasted me 11 years. It's durable. It feels good, and I love using it when I don't use my other battle maps. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. But if I'm just like on the go, I'm going to go somewhere. I either use this battle map. I take this battle map for quick combats or just drawing on things. And for the markers I use, I don't use dry erase markers. I actually use these Statler Lumicolor markers. And this is the pack I've had since 2014. I bought this pack when I bought this map, or right there around about maybe within a couple of years of it. And I have not replaced these since. These still work fine for me. They definitely last way longer than any of the dry erase markers I've ever bought. And apparently dry erase is actually harder to get off of this than these are. So yeah, yes, yeah. Mike Shea did just do something about this, and I do listen to Mike Shea pretty much weekly. So I disagree with his conclusion about the Pathfinder map. I personally not a big fan of Pathfinder map. He talks about like being a cult where you have to like do a bunch of stuff to make your battle map work. I don't. Like it's like, oh, you have to grab it to warm it up. Like, yeah, it warms it up, but you know what I do? I roll it out. I just lay it on the opposite way it was rolled out from, and wait like 5 minutes, and then it flattens itself out, and then I flip it over. Like just roll it out ahead of game time, and then even if I don't have enough time, I just roll it out and put some stuff on it, and by the time we get around to a combat anyway, it's fine. So that's my first thing. It's very simple. Everyone should have one of these. Now I don't use this regularly. I only use this like usually on the go, or if I really don't want to set up my TV. We'll talk about that a little more in depth later. Okay, so something else that we all need at our table is decks of cards, and this is my like stack of decks of cards. Everyone should have at least one deck of cards, preferably 2 decks of cards at your table. I just run one and just shuffle. Gives like a little bit of break, but it just slows things down technically a little bit. But I find that if I have 2 decks of cards, I'm likely to just combine them accidentally, and that would be bad. But this is my stack of cards. I actually got all of these for Christmas this past Christmas, and this one. We'll talk about this one in a second. But these are very differently themed. We have this one is like this is not bicycle. This is like very fancy-esque. They're like vinyl. They have this weird smell to them. But I enjoy them. My players do not, because they constantly give out jokers to the enemy. So they don't like me playing with them anymore. The ones I've been using for my games have been this Cinder from Bicycle and these Hudson cards from who are they from? Is it called Theory 11? And then whenever I get around to playing, I asked for this one specifically because I want this for Street Wolves. Whenever I get around to Street Wolves, this is the Bicycle Cyberpunk Hardwired decks of cards, and I'm looking forward to using those. And I have this other one called Sea King. I feel like I need to I don't know what kind of game I want to run for this. Maybe some sort of pirate game or something, but I'm looking forward to using these in a particular game. If you have players though who have either maybe they're colorblind or some sort of like harder read anything, I have this deck of cards that is, I haven't actually ever shuffled it, but it's like all these big like numbers, colors, very like static feeling. I'm not sure how I feel about them, but every suit is a different color, which really does not help with the color blindness thing, so like kind of the opposite. But these are interesting deck of cards that I got along with my stuff. I don't really use those ones. I haven't used these ones yet at the table, but also we all use decks of cards. You should have a good, nice deck of cards. For a while, I was using these really crappy cards from that was like some sort of giveaway at a hospital, and now I've upgraded to some nice ones. Okay, let's talk about beddings real quick, because we all use beddings. We want to talk about some things that we all use. For a long time, when I first started playing in Deluxe Explorers Edition, I used these. These are just some cheap plastic poker chips that I got for I don't know. I think it was just to play poker with friends, just not for money or anything, just playing poker with chips. And then I also got these. These were for a game. I don't remember which. I got these for the Lord of the Rings game. I don't remember why I needed them for the Lord of the Rings trading card game, but they're like these like beads that you get for like fish bowls and stuff. And I've used these for beddings as well. If I'm doing for like a little more classy or a little more less focused on plastic chips. Like this is good for Deadlands, but this might be good for something else. All right, so let's get into a few other things here. The next thing I want to talk about is I use these a lot more than I thought I would, and that is these status tokens that you get from Pinnacle. Here we go. So these are status tokens from Pinnacle, and I use these especially when I use a battle map. I use these all the time. And they're honestly the vulnerable is very helpful to making sure that like I don't forget about bonuses. The shaken helpful to make sure I remind players to unshake or myself to unshake. The bound and tangled one we use a lot. Distracted we use a lot. We don't ever really use the fatigued one. What else is in here? Stunned we only use when stunned happens, and I'd never use the defend one. Like the defend one is, I probably should use the defend one. I don't ever use the aim one because I'm like, if you're aiming, you're probably gonna remember that you're aiming. That's kind of on you to remember, so we don't ever use that one. But use do bound and tangled. Now, if you're seeing this little holder I got for it, though, this is a holder I 3D printed off of Thingiverse. There is a Thingiverse. We'll be adding this down in the description later. But there's a Thingiverse file for creating a status token holder for specifically for Savage World stuff. And so I just printed that out, and I have this little holder I put on the table for my game nights. That's how I do this. I realized I kind of jumped the gun. I meant to talk about bennies more. So I have quite a few bennies, as you can see. These are my Deadlands bennies. These are my Pathfinder bennies. And then this is my normal bennies. You're saying, hey, there's some missing. I've started giving these out in my Pathfinder game to use as conviction. So those are they're missing because my players have a decent amount of conviction still right now. But I take this to the table, and this holds, for me as a GM, my bennies, which my players have their own 3D printed bennies now that I didn't 3D print. My brother-in-law 3D printed like everybody their own bennies for their characters. So they're like unique bennies for their characters. And it also holds a deck of cards. So I will often just like throw my deck of cards like right in here, hold it there. Good to go. I also put in here, got some pencils for my players. I also usually put a pen in here in case I forget to bring a pen. And then it also holds my counter. So this is like a Deadlands like counter for PowerPoints or ammo. And again, this Thingiverse file that's on Thingiverse to hold all my bennies. So if you have a 3D printer, there's a lot of cool things you can print for bring Savage World stuff. So this makes it easy just to keep my stuff organized, make sure I have everything at the table I need. Yeah. All right, look at some comics real quick. Yeah, so Hamster, you mentioned that you bought some of the accessory boxes. The accessory boxes, I just had that pulled up here. Maybe I can get this to show you guys. I'll talk about what's in these real quick. There we go. So in these accessory boxes, we have said dice. I have dice. I don't need dice. I'm good. We have the bennies. Those are the same kind of bennies we have over here. We have a deck of cards. I do have this deck of cards, but again, everyone needs a deck of cards. We have these templates. You can see them in the background. They're like burst templates and blast templates. The thing we'll talk about that as well in a moment. See, it's status tokens. Again, talked about those. I love those. And then we also have the status cards. I personally don't find the status cards to be super helpful. I have them, but I don't ever remember to use them or give them out. Every once in a while, my players will use them if they remember, like stunned. Honestly, stunned is like the only time the only one of those status cards we don't know what it does off the top of our heads usually. And so we'll pull out the stun card to like figure out what stun does real quick. But other than that, we don't feel like we need those cards. We just need to remember via like the tokens or something like that. So yeah, but perhaps they could be more useful, but we don't tend to use them very often. Now, one of the things that there is also, there's also these, I guess, convictions, which can use pretty much anything you want. Anything that you're okay with your players keeping from game to game. So maybe keep with them. Usually that's the way I do it. So that our players are keeping their convictions with them, and they're using those other bettings that don't match the bettings that they're using usually. So it is cool. There's also this player card, this like holder that like you put your initiative card into, and you put the name of your character in the front. This helps the GM remember who your character is, but also lets them put your card in so so the GM can know when it's your turn. What I'd like to do, and this kind of goes with another thing I have back here that I 3D printed, and this is a initiative tracker that you put your cards into. So let me get a card out real quick so I can show you guys. Yeah, this will work. So you just you get the holder right here. You put like names on here if you wanted to, and then you put the card in, and it actually puts it right in there. And then you can see the card and know what it is. Now, because usually it's facing, if I'm putting this in between me and the players, only one group of us can see the card. So what I've actually looked into, and I found that does exist, and actually my local game store does sell these, is a deck of cards that is two-sided. So it has the face of the cards on both sides, right? And so you can put it into something like this, and the players can see what the card is, you can see the card is, and you're all good. The only thing you have to worry about is making sure that you keep the deck hidden from your players, so they don't, Benny, oh, I saw a Joker, I'm gonna Benny into the Joker. So you just gotta watch out for that. But I'm gonna look into getting one of those just so I could theoretically use this, and also that same holder there, so that the players can see what they have and I can see what they have, and we can all like figure it out. That being said, I've been doing just fine with just putting the cards face down in front of everybody and just seeing it. So that hasn't been too much of an issue for me, but I think the players would maybe benefit from being able to see what the monsters have, just so they know when they want to go or not. Cool. So that is the accessory box. There's a lot of cool things in it. Let's talk about real quick the blast templates. There are those blast templates. I have like several of those because of different boxes I've gotten, where there's the blast templates that are like these opaque orange blasts, right? Well, in the original, I don't know if it's still true, but in the original Suede box, there was, and I think Peter mentioned this as well. Oh no, so there's something else. There are these clear acrylic discs that you can use for blast templates. You can see here, you have the small, medium, and large blast template. What they've done for the other ones, they cut them out, but because it's clear, you can just kind of like put it over and look through and see who's getting hit. There is also one for the cone template. They did not make one for the stream template, but I think that's fine. I'm not worried about the stream template, generally speaking. Though they do have them for the other ones. But yeah, so this is the ones that we use at our game table to help for anyone who's using a blast template or the cone template. We just use these, and it makes it a lot easier to see through it than to see, try to figure it out based on those opaque discs that the other box sets have come with. So I like those a lot. I wish they kept doing that. I don't know if they are in the other books or not, but yeah. All right. Let's put this out here. So I do want to see what real quick what's something that Pete said. Switch from the status tokens you have to clear acrylic discs, and I write the status on the dry erase. That way I don't have to find the right token. That's her. Yeah, I think the way that definitely makes sense. I like these just because it does keep it organized, so I don't have to like go through a pile of box like or a bag of tokens. These are all like laid out. This deck is only distracted. This deck's only shaken. This deck's only vulnerable, and so it's really easy for me to find it and pull it out and throw it out. And there's certain ones that are like very common, like shaken happens all the time. Vulnerable happens all the time because of wild attacks or tests or whatever. And those two are really the only ones I need to put it out there. And that like happen all the time. Bound and entangled happen sometimes. Distracted happen sometimes, but like stunned, fatigued, and defend rarely get put out there. But they're there if I do want to use them. All right, let's see here. Okay. There's a stun card. Let's see here. Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and let's see here. What else did I have here? I had more things. I know I did. I do want to hear from you guys. What are some of the things you guys have at your table that you use? And then I'll talk about them, see what kind of things you guys, other things you guys use. Pete, I see you're talking about nameplates. I assume that you're putting the names of the characters in nameplates. For me, that's not usually an issue because I'm doing like long form campaigns. So it would be helpful for people who are running cons to know which person is which as far as characters goes, especially when you're using pre-generated characters. So you can go, okay, you're playing as Teddy, so this means that you're doing this. I know that because I've been running this, this particular pre-generated character for a long time. This guy has this interest and everything. So I assume that's what those are for. I don't feel the need to use them for my games just because we're playing a campaign. I know the players. I know the players' backstories pretty well. So yeah. All right. So these are some things that I don't use as often as I used to. And mostly because my players have learned the system well enough to know their options. But there's two things here. And the first thing is the unofficial combat survival guide. This has gone through many iterations. It is a combat survival guide that's been created by someone over on Reddit. And basically it just goes through like, hey, if you're having this problem, here's how you can fix it in different ways. If your team, if you can't hit the foe because they have a high parry and your team numbers the foe, do gang up, do a push if they, all this other kind of things. Very, very helpful. I give this to I used to give this to all new players. I might start switching this over to, this might be like too busy for new players. So I'm thinking about actually switching it up into the other cheat sheet that that's going to be talked about on Thursday over at the Savage Universe. It's a really nice cheat sheet. It's clean, it looks nice, and it's just less busy. So I think I'm going to start leaning to that one. The other one I really like is this combat option and situational rules sheet from Pinnacle. This is a 2-page paper. I've seen it. You might have seen it this way, like sideways, but I also give it this way. It's got combat options. It's got situational rules. It tells you what you can do with your bennies here. It's got all of the generic power modifiers, the injury table, how many bullets per rate of fire. And that's really nice. But there's actually an even better version of this in the player's box. So the player's box came out with the player's guide during the was it the 25-year anniversary, 20-year anniversary? One of those. And inside of it comes this little trifold piece of thing, and it has all that same information. It's got all of everything else. It just trifolds up, fits in this little piece of little small index card size, and goes right into the player box. The player box does have all of my status cards and everything. I haven't really used this yet, and I'll talk about why I don't really use this right now. So another 3D printed thing. There's a lot. If you have 3D printers, there's a lot of stuff for you to take a look at. This is nice, just to be clear. I do like this. Is nice. I would use this. There's no problem with using it. I do have like a character in here. Oh, it's right here. That is like folded up. What character is this even? Oh yeah, this is my Centaur character from my one player's game that he ran, where it was like fantasy summer camp. So we were all playing as like these like fancy kids or fancy teenagers, essentially. Where did it go? So this is the box I take. It's a little bit bigger, and it has a lid that's again 3D printed. And I keep my, let's see if I can get this right here. It's got these spots here for dice. These dice are the dice I have in here right now are actually made by one of my players. He makes resin dice, not like professionally. Sorry, not professionally or anything, but he does like make them. He's made some nice ones for us. Got some other ones here. And I got some other dice in here. I also got bennies. So I use this as a box for either as a player or as a GM. So if I'm like GMing somewhere else, I'll take this box and it's got a bunch of bennies in here. I can give more to more players. Actually, might need to fill this up with more bennies because I think last time I needed more. And I'm just using the cheap poker chips that I got showed earlier as my bennies, like keep it for travel. And then I usually keep a deck of cards in here, but for some reason I don't have a deck of cards in here right now. So I'll need to fix that for next time I run a game. But this is a nice little modular like box I can take with me to GM. I'll take this and a few other things with me, books and stuff, adventures, and this will be what I use to run it. Now, if I'm wanting to be fancy, I want to take like nicer boxes of like for battle maps and stuff. I'll actually take this D&D battle map box. I don't think they make this anymore. I got this for on sale at Ollie's. If you know what Ollie's is, it's a discount store. Tagline: good stuff cheap. So they were selling these for a while. I should have gotten this and the monster one. I didn't get the monster one because I didn't think I'd use it, but now I'm like, oh, actually, that probably would have been nice. So either way, this is what I use sometimes as well. And the last thing I also talk about is I use this weekly right now. I use this for every single game I run on my Thursday game, unless I don't think there's gonna be combat. And that is, I use a TV that I lay down on the table, and I project the map onto it. But I don't just get an image and project it. I use our particular software called Arkenforge. Let me see, pull this up here real quick. Arkenforge. Here we go. All right. So they are having a sale right now, and I actually have an affiliate link, but again, this is not in the description down below. I love this software. It has a lot of things that you can do with it that are way beyond what I'm using it for. But one of the things that's honestly just nice is that, one, you have a way to line up your maps. So if you have a map from our battle maps or anywhere else, you can get the battle map and put it in here and scale it really nice, really easily. And it's got layers and stuff. I don't really use that. The main thing I use it for is just to scale my map. And then it has a way for you to input the dimensions of your TV so that you can properly, it will properly scale your map to the TV. And it has a little viewfinder for your players. So you can say, okay, this is where I want my players to see. It has fog of war, has a lot of other features. It even has some touchscreen capabilities that I have the touchscreen components for. I think that part's still a little bit in works. But you can use multiple minis on the board and move them around, and it'll move pawns, and it'll detect where it is, and you create walls and stuff. Again, I don't typically use that. I tried using it once, didn't really go exactly the way I wanted to. And so I just use it for scaling maps properly on my TV, because using some sort of image viewing software made it really difficult to do so. So highly recommend Arkenforge software. Again, there is a sale going on. I have an affiliate link. I don't have it on me right now, so I'll try to remember to put it in the description below if you are interested in trying it out. Doing so does help me. It lets me, get some money back so I can help support the channel, buy some stuff. I've been meaning to buy a bunch of other products, a bunch of other drive-through RPG stuff for different games and stuff, and I just haven't been able to lately. So also, if you want to help the channel, if you want to use the affiliate links for drive-through RPG, that's also super helpful. So check that out. Yes, Steve, it is a download. It is not, you do have to download it. You have to install it as a Windows client. So this is asking about, I believe, about Arkenforge. It is not a browser-based system. You do need to download it and install it and have certain dependencies and stuff. So yeah, it does, after install, it does then download some other stuff from the Arkenforge website. Some other files, if you've purchased any of the elements, you can buy packages of things you can put into your maps, and it is compatible with, I learned that there's this open map, it's open VTT, I think it's the file format or something like that, and it is compatible with that. So I actually found someone had done all of the Rise of the Runelord maps with the VTT with light sources and walls and did a whole thing, and gave it out, and I was able to download that and import it into Arkenforge, and I could use all the lighting and everything if I wanted to. For the most part, I don't, but you can, and it's really cool. So really cool that I was able to get all those maps for Rise of the Runelords, and I'm sure there's other adventure paths and things like that you can get maps for and do that with. So yeah, I think I covered everything. Oh, sorry, one more thing that I use all the time, lately especially, is I have, as I said, I'm 3D printer, and I started 3D printing my own miniatures. This was the reason I bought the 3D printer. And for the longest time, I couldn't get to work. And I finally found fairly recently the right settings to get to work. So I've started printing my own 3D miniatures. I don't have any of my ones I've painted right here with me right now, but I've got this one. This is from Fat Dragon Games. And it works really well. It's supportless. Fat Dragon Games makes all those stuff to be printed with no supports. And I'm looking forward to getting this one painted. I should be able to get this primed tomorrow and painted. I'm kind of excited about it. My son also wanted a dragon, so I'm working on getting him one. So I have one here that needs a few pieces glued together. So, yeah. All right. Looking through comments. Let's see. Let's see if what you all say. Sorry, I'm going to pull up here. Joe Stone. Let me actually go ahead and get myself bigger. So there we go. I use tokens and the blast templates the most. Yeah, I think they're very helpful. Student says, when I run convention games, I usually print stuff out on cardstock, the paper, and fold it in half with the character sheet on one side of the players to see and their names for me to see. Oh, yeah, because there is that folding sheet style character sheet that I've seen in the past. I like that a lot. I don't use it for my games because I think it's not great for my in-person games, but I do think it would be useful for, like I said, convention plays, especially when you're not familiar with the players, and maybe they're not familiar with the system. It's a little simplified for them and everything. So yeah, I think that's great for them. Let's see here. Vinkle says tackle box cased small to hold action cards and standard size 2 of them, and tokens, templates, and home printed PR cards. Yeah, a little tackle box for like bringing yourself around makes sense a lot. Probably should get something like that for myself. Let's see here. Oh, and NPC tokens from 4th edition D&D. Yeah, I use I don't use these very often right now, but I do use the tokens for Pathfinders, like pop-out pawns. I am using the ones from the Rise of the Rune Lords, the specifically for Rise of the Rune Lords, but still. Pierce says, I use a modular rolling toolbox for convention play. Like one of the big ones? Like the ones you see in like mechanic shops? I say 6-inch ruler. Yeah, if you're not playing on a grid, getting a small like 6-inch ruler is actually very helpful. I've been tempted to play without a grid. I don't know how players would handle it, but I've been tempted to play without a grid and just see how combat goes using like a 6-inch ruler and stuff. I just don't know if it'd go very well. So we'll see. Let's see here. Pierce says for the modular toolbox, $100 probably for a store brand box. You can carry a ton in one and add as you grow. Your budget allows. And for brand recommendations, he says not Milwaukee, and he has a husky, not a dog. The Home Depot brand husky. So through all these comments, man, I'm loving the discussion here. Cool. All right. Cool. Well, I'm glad everyone's having fun and talking about everything. So I'll try to spend some time after this show to link out to all these things if you're interested in them. I just want to talk about the things that I use. I'm hoping you guys will talk about things that you use. I do find that a lot of this stuff is very helpful. There is a lot of things out there that I don't particularly find helpful. I haven't purchased them, so I can't really say. Oh, I didn't talk about GM screens. I have a lot of GM screens because of different products, and I do use them. But I go back and forth between either having them upright and laying them down, because part of me likes the idea of rolling the open. I kind of want my players like to know what I'm rolling, and I don't want to like be hiding anything. But sometimes I also find that I can't find the information that's on them because I have them standing. If I have them like laying down, I'll put stuff over them. If I have them standing upright, they won't ever have anything over top of them. I can always read them. So there's pros and cons to that. Next week, I think we are going to talk about open rolling as game masters. Like, is this a good thing in Savage Worlds? There's a discussion that's happening, I think, around a lot of RPGs. But I'm going to specifically call out in Savage Worlds, what is the side effect of rolling on the open and fudging dice and that kind of stuff with Savage Worlds. So we're going to talk a little more about that as well. So with that. Some just like kind of life updates so that you guys are aware. I'm going to be going to Scotland for the summer, so I will be doing live streams different times. I'm going to try to keep doing them on Tuesdays. It might be Wednesdays instead, and it'll be like probably like 8 o'clock their time, so it should be about 3 p.m. Eastern time, which is like noon Pacific time. So we're already doing some things a little bit differently. If you are a European content creator or like swag licensee creator, and or even like Ace licensee creator, I would love to talk to you guys and be able to schedule time to have you guys on the show to talk about the products you've released, products that are upcoming, whether it be swag products or Ace products. Love to have you on the show. So please just let me know so I can schedule you while we're there, so we can be more in sync on timeline, on like time. So I know that getting people from the European region can be hard when we're over here in the States and there's like a 5-hour time difference. So would love to have you guys over on the show to talk about that. So if you guys know anybody that is releasing something and they're in the European region or anywhere more in that time zone, let them know they should contact me and we'll figure a time out to do an interview or something like that. So yeah, so we're gonna be there for, like I said, for about 2.5 months, me and my family. So videos will be coming from. I'm gonna try to keep doing videos, keep doing the live stream. Things might be a little bit different. May not be quite as nice sound quality or visually as appealing, but I'm gonna keep doing them. And maybe I'll just do some more vlog style videos out on the beautiful hills of Scotland. Who knows? So with all that being said, thank you guys for hanging out. Looking forward to talking about next week. Again, next week we're gonna talk about dice fudging and open dice rolling in Savage Worlds with the Savage Worlds context. I'll see you all next time. May your dice always ace. Cheers, everyone.